So welcome to this week's Soulistics podcast and YouTube episode. Today I am joined, before he goes off on the next adventure of his life, my lovely housemate, Mr. James Guy.
Hello everybody. I mean, yeah, well, housemate for the time being until I'm gone.
I'm so sad, but we're going to come on to that.
It's been a short but sweet adventure, and beautiful. It's only the start of another one, I suppose. But we met for a reason, though, didn't we?
100%, which we will come on to.
Yeah.
But I guess, again, the universe brings you people you're meant to meet, cross paths with. You've been on quite a journey yourself to where you're at now. Yeah. From where you were. How long ago would you say?
On this journey? It was quite recently. I suppose the last, it's got to be about a year and a half, something like that. Well, you know what? It actually happened. I think it actually happened after this. The start of it, the seed of it was COVID. It was COVID. I don't think I really knew any other way on before COVID, but it was having that time to slow down and stop, and then realizing, having come to terms with, I had a grandparent die every single year after COVID. And then I remember calling my mum up and just being in tears, and my mum was telling me that her mum, my nan's died. But the first thing that I actually thought was, the realization that she was going to die.
Oh no!
Because she had lost her mum, so I knew the impact of that. But you know, when you've got a grandparent, right? It's your grandparents will die, but you never really want. Your parent, though, is a different thing. So it built that in my mind, and I was like, oh my god, my mum's gonna die, and then that was just it was just wake the fuck up.
Let's take it back. So you've obviously been on your journey and kind of your awakening and your growth the past couple of years, which we want to come into. But let's take it back from the beginning. So
you can make me cry now.
You dropped. Don't make you cry.
I do want to go back. Right.
Well, so first off, you dropped in halfway through living with me that you used to be an electrician.
Yeah.
So you started off as an electrician. How were you in that life? Just fill me in. What were you? I know you now. How were you back in the day?
Oh, well, God. I mean, it depends how far you want to go back, right? Because from as much as I know, I've always been an emotional child, and my mum and my family have got all these stories about me as a kid. Just throwing tantrums, not getting their own way, and just
you were one of them.
Yeah, and shouting, wanting to be heard kind of situation. I mean, you can get into the details about where that come from or whatever, but it's obviously my mum.
Parental trauma.
Yeah. But so as I grew up, and I always feel I was quite an empathetic child. But then growing up, well, I think it was maybe when I was into my teens, because you start to form groups when you're in school.
What group were you in?
I was I don't know. I was in a bit of a mix, because I was. If you say there's the cool, and then there's the middle. Because I liked everybody, so I'd go and chat to the geeky kids. I used to love them, and then I'd go and talk to the cool kids and everything. Yeah. And I would kind of be a social chameleon and just mingle between everybody. But then I did get bullied a little bit at school for having a lisp. Oh. And I used to be quite a chubby kid as well. Oh. Mum. Oh. My mum used to bake and everything, and my mum was a bigger lady when we were younger, and she was a bit of a feeder, and growing up that just kind of you just adopt that, don't you? It's environmental. So I was a bit of a chubby kid. There's a photo go around in my family that I look like is it Bruce Bogtrot, from Matilda?
Oh no!
Yeah. There's a picture of me at school, and I've got the gelled hair, the spiky gelled hair, and my tie is up to here, and I'm it's so bad. It's such a horrible photo of me. Whenever I show everybody, they're like, "That's not you." Oh. And then the second thing is you've had to glow up.
Definite glow up. Definite glow up.
Yeah. So that happened, and then I was growing up. I was in school. And then I found a group of friends that I, got on with, a lad down the road and someone at school. But then I never knew what I wanted to do when I was in school. So there's always like a debate in my mind that was like, because I really loved the arts and I've always drew when I was a kid. And then, but then...
Did you get told that wasn't a real career?
No, not at all.
Really?
No. What happened was, it's like all my friends were doing sports. So like, you know, you pick GCSEs. I couldn't do art and sport at the same time. It was like really stupid. So I only could do like sport. So I ended up just, I don't know. I just remembered being like, why is there a choice between like the two? Because it's like the timetable didn't match.
Oh, right.
So the timetable clashed. So I was like, I would have picked something more fun. So I just did that. And I really enjoyed it because it got me into sport. And it set me off for like a good rest of my life, I suppose, in terms of like loving sports. And then I dropped loads of weight and then I started like hanging out with some cooler people and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. And I got really good at rugby. So then my group of friends then growing up after that point was like all rugby lads. And we all know how fucking toxic those are.
Oh, God.
But we just like, we fueled each other. But then I suppose that was probably, I don't know how, that was probably one of the pinnacle moments in my life where like alcoholism become like a bit of a problem. When I was up to 18. It's got to be, and it revolved in and around that, like none of us held each other like accountable. Yeah. And I was at a wedding actually, not maybe, how long ago was it? A couple of years ago, at my friend Scott's wedding, and all of the rugby, like there's quite a few of the rugby lads, and I think he's his brother, and he was like, and he wasn't drinking, and at this point I was like sober curious. So then I was speaking to him and he was like, I just don't get on with drinking, and then we started reminiscing about like the days that it would just be like drink and then just see how fucked you could get. It was literally so
There was no like
there was nobody stopping
limits,
us.
right?
There was no limit. It was like just see how far until we get like kicked out kind of situation. Yeah.
And rugby guys are notorious for being a nightmare.
Yeah. Like, and this was like a nice kind of club bar, but we knew the owner, and then we'd always got like a corner. So we'd just spend like loads of money. So like they just kind of like, they just knew us.
Yeah.
So we'd go in and we'd just have the corner, and we would just be going like mayhem. It'd be like drinking games.
Oh my God.
Like dicks out.
Oh my God.
Mates, I was never into this, like into the sick stuff or anything like that, but they were like sicking through a pint glass and just like necking it
It's
back
gross.
up. Whatever happened on tour was like, I've seen some magic,
So
some horrible shit. But that was just the start of it, and that was that kind of that toxicness that around alcoholism.
And what were you like when you were drinking?
I was fine. I was fine during this point, yeah. But later on, it kind of caught with me because around then I didn't have like that much like past trauma to go on. Do you know what I mean? Like that, as that started to increase and escalate, that's when the drinking like become a problem. But I'd always been, when I was younger, I'd always been like a hothead, like always at that. But again, you know, when I mentioned about when I was a kid and I used to like throw a temper, because in the day-to-day life you can control that. When the alcohol kicked in, it was just like the fucking, you know, the prefrontal cortex is like shut the fuck, is like completely gone. He's gone to bed, and like what's left is like my monkey brain, and it was just my monkey brain is just cannot be trusted. Some people can, but mine's locked away for a fucking reason.
I think mine should be.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So the drinking obviously became more.
Yeah.
So at this point in time you were an electrician, but then you went into like the creative industry with your photography. Did you find that industry only helped the drinking problem?
Helped it? Like worsened it?
Yeah.
So if you fast forward, because I went to uni when I was like 24, and then
To do photography.
Because I'd done it like an MVQ previously, and then so I convert that into, I don't know what it is, like a foundation or something like that. So I went to Sheffield first, which was just a wild time. So that was like loads of like drugs and drinking and stuff. And the guys next door to us would just give us like ketamine and and like MDMA and pills and everything. And we just like have like it was a good time.
Did you actually go to any lectures or do any of the work?
Not much, no. No, but this was before uni. This was like, but I was already like in my 20s. At this point, I'm like 25. Do you know what I mean? So I'm a little bit later in my life. So yeah, so that's happening. So, and then we just have an absolute ball. But then when you get into like fashion, it was just like, everybody's like on cocaine. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, TV.
Everybody's
mad.
just doing cocaine. Do you know what I mean? And then, where was it? I lost my flight. And then I went to work at Ego Shoes. And then after that, I went freelance. But when I was like freelance, I had a big job with, I won't name
Let's not name jobs.
I won't name the company. I was happy to name the other one because fuck them. But I won't name this one. But we got to LA and we was at, is it like Beverly Hills? No,
I think Beverly Hills,
it's
yeah.
Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's literally like you go up, there's no road, there's just a road, there's no path, and you get to the top, and like this house, I was like going up, and I'm thinking, I land there at, I think it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like driving up, and I'm thinking, how fucking far are we gonna go? And we get to the top, and there's this like huge house. It's like a 10-bedroom.
Oh my God, mansion.
Yeah, 10-bedroom mansion. You go up, and I open the door, and there's like, there's all the team is there already. They show me the rooms, loads of rooms, like pool room, cinema room. There's like a pool in there. There's a infinity pool on the top.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There's like, it's just nothing you've ever seen. So then I'm like packing all my stuff. And then a guy comes in and he's like, oh, do you do like gear? And I'm like, what are we talking? So like, and then we went upstairs and I'm not even joking. Like there's the CEO and the owners and just the creative team and everything. And there's on the table is just like a mound of cocaine, like this big.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and literally not like going at it with a teaspoon. You know what I mean?
Fucking hell.
Yeah. And then that got out of hand, and then we had to drive to Joshua Tree at like 1 a.m, and none of us had slept.
Oh my God.
And then it was just like gear the whole time, and I just like, I don't know why I even engaged in that, but when
that industry has run on it though, run on it. It's really easy to fall into.
Yeah. And then like just nights out. I mean, during that, I'm talking like 7 years ago or something, 7 years ago. And during like Northern Quarter, at that time you
still didn't show me Northern Quarter.
You got like, well, you just found out there's a bloody canal. There's a marina in Ancoats, so if you haven't been, you haven't been.
Geography's not my strong point.
But yeah. No, it's but yeah, everybody was just doing it. You know what I mean? It was just like common.
But what was the point for? So it was COVID when you were like, I can't do this anymore, or was there like an incident or anything that happened where you were like, I've got to change my life. This isn't working for me.
Yeah. Like I mean, there's been a lot over my years. You know what I mean? And they've all revolved around like drinking. But that I think because at this point I'm like, when was COVID? 2019. It's like
2021.
2021, yeah. So it's like...
Or 1920.
Yeah, so I'm like in my early 30s. And then it's just like when you're in your 30s, it's like, what am I doing? Do you know what I mean? and then, yeah, I think it was just because... COVID then again, because I was living in an apartment with my brother and like another lad. And there was just like parties because we lived in one region, and one region was just like popping off for like parties. You could like walk, you could literally walk out your apartment and walk into somebody else's party, and it's like walking to like different clubs.
Really?
Yeah,
during COVID?
Yeah.
So illegal.
Yeah, and then the police were like roaming the halls and everything. Yeah, it's mental. But then so like we was engaging in parties, but then after a while, it just kind of wore off. But then it was still like something that you just kind of like did for fun. So, but then you're still like drinking loads, and this was just eating into my bad habit anyway. So during that point, it was just like we were just drinking all the time. It was not good, and like doing loads of like coke and stuff.
Didn't you start a relationship during COVID though?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So I started a relationship with my ex, and we met. It was like, we met during when it opened back up. Do you remember we had the first lockdown?
Yeah. And then it was like Manchester. Only Manchester got put on a lockdown like 2 weeks later.
Yeah. Do you remember when like the whole town just opened up just for that one period of time? But that's when we met. It was like boom. So then everybody just
from the apps.
From the apps like Tinder. Yeah. It was like boom. Let's go straight on it. And then then I met her.
That's mad, isn't it?
With me, it's always like this kind of Jekyll and Hyde. So it's, when I'm sober, like everything's like fine. And if I can keep myself in that way, then it's all right. But then if I ever drink or anything like that, then it's, you know, it's just like, it's just a matter of time until something happens. So when we met, this like a similar thing happened. So it was like we met, and then you tell yourself and you convince yourself like everything's okay, and then it was just like it's not okay, it's not okay, it's not okay, and then you stop and then you go back, and you're like, oh, I'm fine now, and then it's like it's not okay. Yeah. But it's like, you know, having to seeing the warning signs and then like being able to like see them and learn and do something about it.
But how did you, so if you were like, right, okay, this isn't serving me anymore, like what steps did you take to cut the habits out of your life that weren't serving you anymore?
I listened to, oh my God, I forgot his name. Oh my God, he's like a Canadian dude. He's a bit controversial. He talks about like psychology and stuff. Forgot his name. He's controversial anyway, but he basically said, and it really resonated with me.
Joe Rogan?
No, oh my God, what's his name? I can't think of it, it's evaded me. But he said, because you know what I'm like really like, I don't know.
You're quite controversial when you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Depends what you mean. That's for another episode. But you like, and he just said, if you just sit on the end of your bed and close your eyes and sum up your life as a business. And I know that sounds like really clinical, but if your life is a business and then one of the parts of your business is not serving you. So it could be like drinking, or it could be like, you know, whatever it is. But mine was like the drinking. So then he said, well, if it was a business, you'd literally like get rid of that department, wouldn't you? You get rid of that member of staff. So you just got to like cut it, you know, for the sake of the business.
I've never heard of it like that. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I was like, right, okay, well, I just have to be like cutthroat with this. And I was like, well, what is it that's not serving me? And I was like, it's fucking, I don't know, HR. So like, get rid of it. So then I was like, right, okay, I need to get on this path. And that was like the start of the thought process. I mean, it wasn't until I met Jean. Yeah, met Jean like 6 months. So like 6 months ago now. But then even then I had a little wobble, but I haven't drank. This is the longest I've never drank for.
It's hard, isn't it? Like, I think especially when you work in the industry and stuff that thrives off of it as well, like to say no is quite a...
I think just in any situation, like any social situation, it's really difficult because like our society is like built in and around like drinking, you know what I mean? Back in the day, everyone used to go drink in a pub. And even before that, you know, how far do you want to go back? It was always like a social spot, wasn't it? So drinking just so like culturally acceptable. And then with my ex, she was American, so she used to say that the drink culture here is actually a drunk culture. Whereas like in America, there's like drink culture. You know, there's pubs, bars and different situations like that. But in the UK, we have a drunk culture.
What, we just get rat-ass? Yeah.
Like the intention is to get drunk, not...
Oh yeah, like Freshers Week. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Carnage.
Yeah,
I mean, I have never been to Freshers Week, but like seeing photos of it, I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God, it's fun. It's fun. But then I think like but that's the problem though, right? Because if you're in with people that are all doing the same thing, then it's like, it's not a problem, is it? It's only until like, you know, a fucking zebra walks down like a street that you're like, oh my God, that's a bit weird. But if you're like, now there's an absolute girl that's like, or a guy that's absolutely battered, and where normally they think it's funny, but now that person's in like spinning fields and they're like, the fuck's this guy? Is he okay? You know what I mean? It's just context, isn't it?
Oh my God, I guess. Like now, if I go on a night out, I rarely go out, but if I do, I don't tell, like I never get rat ass when I'm out anymore, because I just, if I'm at someone's house, like, I have a drink and stuff, but like, and I feel safer, but it's because I don't feel safe like on a night out. But some of the sights I see when I go out, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
like,
oh my God, like...
and I worry about the women. I'm like, oh my God, you're that drunk. Like, oh God.
But it's also the guys that like, you know, I mean, there was a guy not long ago, like, you know, they fall in the canals and shit, you know what I mean? Like, because guys are a bit more stupid anyway, so like... You have a drink and it's like, boom, you're even more stupid. You're going to like Neanderthal.
Well, this is the thing. We are one of the Neanderthals. We're just in this mad world that is like...
Yeah. It's like we're just, in terms of like time, it's brand new, isn't it? We're just like the infancy of us, really. Because it's been going on for so long. I mean, it's like millions of years, isn't it?
You can tell by some stupid ideas we have.
Yeah. But like, but yeah, like I can't even tell you like how many times I've just woke up like blackout drunk. Man.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's terrible. My mum used to be like so scared of like what could happen because she knew what I was like.
My mum as well.
Yeah.
But now you've found like, so you kind of cut out the drink, and then did you start to like, I mean, we've had many a conversation about, you're not into the spiritual woo-woo. You call it woo-woo, which I was like, can't believe you're living here and you're calling it woo-woo. But you have, you've gone on like your spiritual journey. Like, so what, so you started listening to podcasts and books and stuff that was all about like consciousness and stuff. So you really like went seeking for it. Like, how's that journey been? Have you found it like, have you found your tribe along the way, or have you found it quite isolating?
I've always been like isolated anyway, to be honest with you. But you know, I mean, you'll argue it's a man thing, isn't it? Which probably is. But I mean, it's been liberating, if I'm honest, because I've always been really comfortable in my own skin anyway, and being on my own, which I think is a natural thing, right? As much as like I agree that this, you know, tribalism is like really important, but I think it's always like it's good to be on your own as well, you know, as long as you're not just shutting yourself off from like society and stuff, you know, as long as you're engaging back in. Yeah,
but like connection is one of our fundamental needs as humans.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
It's a healthy balance.
Yeah. But then like I always think like, shit, is that true for like all of us? It's definitely true for women, but is it definitely true for men?
I think it is, because if you think about it, like when you were hunting and stuff, like you were in trial. If you were on your own, you'd get eaten. But then, so you had to come together.
Yeah. But then there's like these men that tend to like live on their own, and there's like stories about shamans or, you know, Buddhas and all these different people. Yeah,
but they're taking themselves out of society.
Yeah, and they're thriving it.
Yeah, but they're not engaging in the real world.
No, but I mean like that people they don't mind like being on their own. Do you know what I mean? They'll go and integrate back in. You know, I was listening to this story about this what was he? He was like a guru or something. And
but we had this conversation the other day.
And he'd go and come back down to the village and integrate back up, but then go and like meditate and enjoy.
But we were talking about this the other day. Like, if you're on the crest and you're going to sit on a mountain and you're going to cut yourself out and you're not going to engage in the real world in this 21st century world, that is quite frankly batshit crazy.
Yeah, but I think that
where's the balance? Because then you said that the gurus come back and then they get done for sexual harassment and all of this jazz.
No, like, but I mean,
there's a balance.
No, with that, I think what I was trying to get is that like nobody's like perfect. Do you know what I mean? And that these gurus that tell you all these amazing things about like these. Because I think you can. Because when I listen to Sam Harris, he talks about that. You know, you can have enlightenment and you can have wisdom, but still not be able to practice it yourself. Do you know what I mean? You can be aware of like the path, but still be kind of troubled yourself. Because at the end of the day, I think everybody is troubled, and everybody, like, life is trauma, right? I mean, you come into the world fucking traumatized. I mean, your first breath is like.
But it is how you look at it. But I do feel that everyone's got to have some level of connection.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I'm not saying like completely detach yourself, but I mean, I think
and navigate the real world.
Yeah, but I think men are a little bit more like they don't mind being a bit solo.
Yeah, men can do it easier, but this is, I find the men that I've met like find it harder to make friends, find it harder to know where to have that release. Like women are very much like, we'll bond, we'll come together, we'll chat it out. Men are very much, I mean, quite a lot meet in the pub, so not actually processing the emotions, they're just drinking. Yeah. But I feel like that is changing now. A lot of people going more sober, but I feel men need the support to find.
But I think this is down
connections.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this is leading back to like the question that you were saying about this journey. Is that for me it's been quite liberating, because I've realised that through like all this stuff that I've been reading, is that so I went to therapy, and therapy was amazing, and I highly recommend going to therapy. But then there comes a point when you think,
I've
what's the
reached
next
what I
step?
can get.
Like,
Yeah.
what else am I getting from this? Because you're literally just making me say the same things again and reiterate the same things, but we're not actually. It feels. I always say that, like, it feels like I'm in a ship, and there's water flooding in, and I've got a bucket, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, surely there's a way to like just pad the boat up, and I could just live a happy life.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking about it all completely wrong. I was thinking that you can fix the boat, but I don't think you can really fix it. I think you can just kind of, I think you just get you get happier with doing that.
But I also think
I don't
it's
think
about.
you can't fix the boat, is what, you know what I mean?
But you can flip your perspective of the boat.
Yeah. You can start to enjoy, chucking water out of the boat, do you know what I mean? But rather than thinking it's a chore. Because what I've been reading about, like, psychology and, like with Buddhism, about like attachment and all these different things, that it's just like that there's always another perspective, and we can't change ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, we can have a different perspective on it, but you're always going to be that kind of like anxious person. But yeah, like with the spiritualism.
Yeah, but do you feel like you feel like if you're an anxious person, you can never change?
I think it gets better, it gets easier, but I don't think it ever goes away.
I think you can work. I think
because I've always been like an anxious person, which I've realised. And then my problem was that I was thinking that there was a fix for it, right? But like you said about the perspective, is that you'd always catch yourself that, like, you think you're good and you think, fuck, like I've done this, like I've leveled up. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my god! And then the next wave comes in.
Yeah. I've leveled up. I'm like level 3 spiritualism, blah 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 blah. And then you think you've like cured it, and then next thing you know, you stop drinking and you do yoga and you do these things, and you think, fuck, I'm good. And then life throws you something at you, and then you're like, oh, okay, she's back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like today, I've been really good, and then the last couple of days, like internally, I've been noticing the anxious thoughts. But that's the difference, right? Is that, like, I'm noticing them.
Yeah.
Because before I was reacting rather than being like responsive.
Yeah.
And you talk a lot about like giving space and holding space. I was never like holding space myself. So if something would happen, I'd react. So things had happened in my past where, like, I've been beat up and I've been like chased down the road by like group of lads, and I was in my apartment, my house when I was at uni, and like held up on like knife point, on the wall with like a serrated edge like knife, like, and it's actually kind of funny because like I was just in my boxes, and the knife was like, I was eating this really nice like steak like earlier. I'm vegan now, but it was a nice steak. But I was like eating the steak, and that was on the floor. So like when it happened, they just saw the knife and was scrambled, and he got the knife.
Fuck.
But these things like happen to you, right? But then, and they do like traumatize you. So, but then going on, it's like when something happens and you react to it, the difference is being able to like have that space. Same as when you practice meditation, is being aware that the thoughts there before you're like 10 minutes into the conversation that you're having with yourself, like you're noticing it when it's happening. And I think that's the difference. It doesn't go away, it's just you notice it, and then you don't have the same attachment to it anymore. So I was having like all these thoughts when I was driving, and just about because like at the moment it's kind of, I mean, you could say it's stressful because I'm just trying to organise. Like, I've decided that I'm going to go like fucking Monday to
no, we're going to come on to that.
Yeah. But like I'm trying to organise like my life, and it's I've got Duncan, and I've got to negotiate with handing him off to like my ex, and then organise the days that he's there, and then they work full time, so I'm trying to there's a lot to like figure out. And then I had a falling out with my girlfriend, so then that just like the insecurity was like there then, do you know what I mean? It was like, it was set and primed, it was like boom, insecurity's back, you've had a little wobble with relationship, now the wobble will like like a water, and you like do a little one little thing and it goes and it's like a tidal wave. So I got to about here, but then I started to realize when you're conscious about yourself, and like when you're aware and when you meditate, is that I think that's the difference. So that I was noticing the thoughts, then I was seeing the pattern, then I was like, right, okay, that makes sense now. And then I was like, right, okay, well, you can talk yourself through it now. So then, you still feel it, but like this feeling of anxiety, for example, it's like, it's very similar to the feeling of excitement.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've
fine line.
It's like the same kind of feeling. So if you just kind of think, because when I practice meditation, and you can change the way that you feel in like a mood. So like if you're sitting there and you close your eyes and you're feeling really anxious, if you think, right, okay, maybe let's think of something like really happy. So I think about my niece, and we had a little moment where she's my one niece, she's doing my makeup, and I was like, and she's doing my makeup here, Edith was, and then Margot, like she's younger, and she's sitting, and I turned around and looked at her, and she just cut my head like this, and she went, "Your makeup is so beautiful." Yeah, it was gorgeous. So and I closed my eyes and I thought of that, and I felt like. You know when you can feel a smile, you can feel a smile in your face, even though you're not smiling. You know what a feeling of a smile feels like. So then I felt the smile. So then I realized that in any given moment, there's a choice, right? Yeah. There's a choice, and it's just practice.
That's what's hard to hold on to, though, isn't it? When you're in that moment,
it's fleeting, yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I can go into such frenzies. You've seen it. You've lived with it. But it's like actually when I look back at all the things I've been through and I've overcome. I think this is also what we're really not good at as humans, is looking at how far we've come. Like we've spoken many a time about like seeing like the big goal, but not the steps before it, and like putting so much pressure on things. But it is like having that split second to bring yourself back is so much harder in that moment. Like I think that's what the battle is, really, isn't it? That we're trying to. But looking back on things that I've gone through, I'm grateful for him because it's all taught me a lesson, and it's all got me to where, and again, it's that perspective thing, like it's being, I now have quite a lot of gratitude to it, because I'm like, actually, that's got me to where I need to be and who I am now. Yeah. Could have done with without some of the lessons, but you know. Yeah.
But it's, I think there was I was listening to this thing, and there's this really interesting study that was done on people, and it's about happiness. And they monitor, I think it was like one of the biggest studies of like happiness that they've done, and what they wanted people to do is like they wanted to like monitor their levels of happiness throughout the day. So they realized that when people were either living in the past or even living in the future, whether it's good or bad, but living in the future would make them unhappy.
Oh, really?
Because living in the future, no matter what it is, it's either worrying or longing for something. Yeah. So it's an unhappiness for the current moment. So I want this moment to be different. So I dream about a future that I want. So this moment will never be good enough.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. And when the past, it's the same thing. It's like you either remember a time that made you happy, so you want that back, or you remember a time that was so traumatizing that it brings you unhappiness. Yeah. And this is the same thing. Like the past will always make you unhappy. Unless you're careful with it, because you can remember like things so you be careful, right? So you're like, right, I remember when Nana Granddad did something, and you're like, right, okay, like so beautiful, but then you can easily go, I wish I'd spent more time with them. Do you know what I mean? So it's tricky. So it's important to like look at these things as with an awareness of, say, future, I want to plan, because it's natural to want to plan, but then not like wish that things were different.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like gratitude for where you are now, like be in the present. Yeah. But be excited for what's to come as well. Yeah. And that now is always good enough. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because everything, like the past is the past, you know, whatever happened, and we're always, every single day we wake up, you know, every second really, like, you know, we're changing and we're different. So, you know, you can't beat yourself up for something that happened like ages ago. You know, sometimes, you know, if you've hurt people in the past, like I have done, you know, it's really easy to look back at that and then ruin my current now based on that. But you gotta let these things go, and that's this Buddhist thing about attachment, is that is to try and alleviate this attachment, because the attachment's the one that'll get you, man. That's the one that hurts you.
That's the one that hurts you. Yeah. Really bad.
It's interesting, isn't it? Navigating that. Yeah. Anxious attachment. Woo!
Yeah. I don't really know too much about them, to be fair. My sister goes on about these, but I don't really know.
I'm a recovering anxious.
Yeah.
So if anyone says they're a recovering avoidant,
I think that we're all recovering now, aren't we?
Oh, we're all recovering from something.
recovering
Yeah,
from
very few people are like, have come out of the womb and are secure. Like very, very few people.
Yeah,
because it's all work. It's all balance.
Yeah, there's no like right or wrong way. I mean, at the end of the day, like your parents are just doing their best.
Oh, 100%. But this again, like we've had many conversations about this, is like it's about communication and things take work. And we've spoken about it so many times now. People have lost a sense of connection. Like people don't know how to connect with other people anymore, and COVID only fueled that more. But it's the fact of like having that awareness that actually if you want to have a relationship, whether that's love, friendship, anything, it all requires work, and you're all going to trigger each other. You've all got your own triggers, but you need to put that effort and that work in. And I feel like we're at this place in society where not many people are willing to do that.
Yeah, 100%. Because I think that kind of leads, because I think we got like went off on a tangent, but what was I going to say? So yeah, the reason, because I got into the therapy, right?
Oh yeah, we've gone way off track.
We went way off, yeah. I just traced that back then. I was like, shit, we're fucking like, we're in a different country.
Sorry guys, welcome to my world.
but that, like it leads on, right? So because did the therapy and then the therapy wasn't working, because I'd hit a point and I was like, I need to find out a better way. So I was realizing all my triggers, but then the next path for me, then I was during this point before I'd been like practicing like yoga, and then I was dabbling with the idea of like meditation, and then like all of this was like coming together. Then I started to read all these books on like consciousness and spiritualism, and I read like loads of different books. And it was all kind of like pointing me into this direction that like, well, I think no matter what you do, whether it's any of these kind of practices that you do, and I think we spoke about it before with the sound bowls, that you got all these like beautiful practices, but I think what they all do is just point you back to like,
you.
It's like, it's me. You know, you can't hope that the sound bowls are going to like heal you. Your therapist is not going to heal you. You know, your next partner is not going to heal you. You know, your mum's not going to heal you.
We're our own healers.
You got to heal from the inside, right? Do you know what I mean? So, and that, I think then with that realization, it was like, I need to fix that with me. Like, I have to love me. Because there's so many times in my past, and I have a little flick through in my mind, and it's like, and a lot of it I see is just like regret. Like there's so much like regret there. And if I keep letting that inform my future, I'm just going to keep like hurting people. And, you know, and I realized I was just hurting people. So I needed to be not only be a better person for me, but for like everyone else as well. So then that was a path of like, it was like a path of like ethics and stuff in my mind of like how to be better, how to love myself, you know, how to find like happiness.
Hurt people.
Yeah.
But I feel like with this...
Trauma breeds trauma, man.
Yeah, trauma bonding.
Yeah.
A lot of relationships built on trauma bonds, but I feel like it's... And I actually read something the other day, I got sent something or something. People that are single now are finding it hard because there's so many relationships that are built on trauma bonds that it's hard to find someone that's like is aware of themselves and their triggers and who wants to work on things with someone, but also realizing that they're not perfect either, and not putting those expectations on them, being like, right, I'm me, you're you, you've got your ones, I've got mine, let's work together. Because a lot of the relationships are trauma bonding, or it's you're repeating the relationship you've seen your parents have. Like it's very much like or going what society expects you to. And I think now's quite an exciting time of people are literally like being more aware, doing the work on themselves, trying to find it in themselves. So they are tearing the book up about a lot of things on one hand, and then you got the other hand where people are just like, people are a commodity and just no consequences of actions of like how, as you say, like hurt people.
But we've like commodified what would you call like stimulus? Like stimuli has been like a commodity. It's like everything is just like it's just like there's like sex everywhere, there's fucking like money everywhere, there's like accolade everywhere, there's like false peaks everywhere, you know. It's just there's no, you know what I mean? There's all these like there's places of that you're like, you can be better, you can be stronger, you can be prettier, you can do all this, and it's like all instant fixes and everything, and none of them actually like ever bring you happiness. Do you know what I mean? We're just like chasing these fucking bright lights. You know what I mean? Because like you said before, you know, we're fucking old, man. You know, like our species and everything. It's like it goes back to like thousands, millions of years of that evolution. Anyway, it depends how far you want to go back. But it's like a human species. We're just fucking like, we're so stupid. You know what I mean?
So stupid.
Because you like, the only reason we're like you know, we've got with taste buds and dopamine and everything. It's like, you know, you're walking through and then, you know, fucking, you pick a berry and then you eat it, and then it's so sugary that it like fires off like in your mouth, and you're like, boom, that's really nice. And then you like, that evokes dopamine for you to come back, and the next day that reinforces memory and all these different things. So then next thing you know, you're like, but then now fast forward and you're eating a chocolate bar and it's the same thing happening. It's like, and you're like, food, like resource allocation. Do you know what I mean?
It's just, but we're also creating our demise with AI. Like, AI is amazing, and you're big into your tech, and it can do amazing things. But at the same time, like, you have scared the hell out of me, because you're like, it's gonna think, it's gonna feel, it's gonna do, and I'm like, oh my god, robots gonna take over the world, and we have created it. Like, we're that stupid. We're creating our own demise. Yeah,
but I mean, with that, I don't think. Yeah, it's an issue, right? Because we create tools though, don't we? That's, you know, where you go far back and you got a caveman and he's chipped a rock and now he's got a knife and he's got a knife. So, and then, you know, Dave down the road, he makes a fucking wheel out of some stone. And now you got like...
Simpler times.
You know what I mean? But that is just, you know, it's just, she got bigger in it. Like, you got the wheel and then now you got AI.
Yeah, but the wheel like works with us. AI can overthrow us. This is the problem.
Yeah, well, it like depends if the wheel's like, you know, heavy wheel is just, you know, falling down a hill, and then you're like, no, Sancho man. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's what do they call it? It's like it's a tool. Every tool is like a knife, you know, because at one hand, you know, you can cut and you can do some amazing things with like a knife, but at the same time, you can cut yourself with it.
Just don't be an idiot with it.
Yeah, but there's idiots out there, don't there?
That's the problem in most of the world. That's the scary part about it.
Yeah, that's the big one. Yeah, I don't know. I am worried about it, but I could be worried about getting hit by a car. So
this is true. You can only worry about what you can change.
Yeah. I'm allocating my resources to be worried about other things.
Okay, so that leads me on. So now you've got to you've kind of a big deal. Like, you've worked on some really, you've worked on some really big brands. You've done amazing work in the photography field, like in fashion, amazing. And then obviously you had the studio in Manchester. Had. Yeah. You've had a ride with it. And you went through a period where it was like pushing water up a hill.
Yeah.
So then you came in a couple of weeks ago and you said you're leaving me, which I was very sad about. But what was because you've gone on quite a journey the past couple of months, because you met Gina's now traveling. Like, what has been your journey to get you to where you're at now? Because you're at quite an exciting time of life.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, like, my life's been pretty like exciting. It depends on the perspective on it, but it's been pretty exciting. I mean, from being, you know, my auntie was like, she gave me a hug when my granddad died, and she's like, you know, she was like pissed, and she's like hugging me. She's like, what did she say? Some kind of backhanded compliment, like, you know, none of us really expected for you to do so well. And I was that kind of kid that I was lost. Do you know what I mean? And then, because I went through that thing when I was in my 20s, and I just went into like complete depression because I felt like I was living a life that wasn't mine. So I pivoted, and I owe this to my mum, because my mum was like an incredible woman, and she just does what she needs to do. And I was like, I need to grab that same inspiration. So I just like left, and I moved, and then I started my journey as a photographer. Then I landed some like really big jobs that allowed me to just. And then I went freelance, and then I realised I was good at it, and then I realised I was really good at business. So then like the money got better, and then as the money got better, like my time went down. I got more freedom, which is like the biggest commodity, I believe, is my time. So then and then I was like, fuck, like, what do I want now? And it's the studio. So, and then I've always wanted a studio for like 7 years. I wanted a studio. So that was like the next step for me. So, because I didn't really want to like answer to people, because I don't really like working for people. You know, I don't think anybody really does, to be honest. Everybody wants to kind of be their own boss.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like nobody wants a mummy and daddy like telling them what to do. So like, why would you want somebody in a business telling you what to do? That's not your mum and dad. You know what I mean? You're like,
trying to get about
that. yeah. So then I wanted the studio so that I could just entitle myself to be able to do what the fuck I wanted to do. And then that was like falling short. But like that in itself, that journey was like mental. Because like last year, me and my ex broke up and I went back to my mum's. And then in the November, I was like, Mum, I don't know what I'm doing in my life. Because I'm 36 and then went back to live with my mum. I haven't lived with my mum like since I was like 18 or something like that. Yeah. And I was the only one that had never gone back home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was the only ones. But then I ended up going back, and then I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because I fell out of love with photography, because just the arts are just like, I mean, it's not the arts anymore, is it? It's just, you know, capitalism just fucked it all. So then now I'm looking at my camera and thinking, like, it's a job now. And my camera reminds me of work rather than being a creative person. So I was like, I don't know what to do in my life. So having that situation, I went to Bali in November, but then in February for my birthday. But then, because a couple of my friends was going out there, so I was like, fuck it, I'll come with you. But then in December, I looked for a studio. The studio came up, and then I was like, I'm gonna have to go for this, man. But it's just this thing, you know, when I know, looking back, I'm like, when there's a decision that I need to be done, like, I'll make it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not scared of making that decision.
Yeah, no,
which is like, going and doing this, the studio, quitting my job and going and leaving. Like, I've managed to do that. Like, if I know what's best for me. Fucking hell, do I? I think it's sober me doing it. But so I just made that decision, and then like I said, I was like living in that studio for like, I thought it was going to be a couple of weeks, but that fucked up, and I was there for like 2 months.
Oh my god!
In a cold, like
with damp,
a 10-degree damp studio. I say studio, but it's a warehouse. It's like 2,300 square foot. It's like an empty warehouse. There's a train that goes over like every fucking hour. So it's like and I'm there like, and Duncan's like I got a quilt over me on a sofa, and Duncan's like between me. I'm like, everything's gonna be okay, Duncan. Everything's gonna be okay. And bearing in mind as well, the shutter doesn't lock from the inside. So I had a bike lock. Like, so the shutter shuts, like, it's a big shutter, and it shuts, and then there's like the handle, and I was like, oh my god, this doesn't lock.
God!
So I had to get a bike, so I got a bike lock just to like hang it, and then I just slept with like a bat next to my bed.
Oh my god!
For like 2 months.
Oh my god, you never told me that.
And bearing in mind as well that I got like held at knife point at my house, like, you know what I mean? I've got like these kind of
my god
these issues of like,
so you didn't
locked
sleep
doors.
much.
So I was like, and then it's like so I'm like,
oh my god!
Yeah, for like 2 months. But me and Dunk went through that. But like, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, aren't you? Like, you know, this is why, if there's any advice like I'd ever give to somebody, it's just like, what's the worst that's gonna happen, man? Just fucking go for it. You live once. And like, I lived in a studio for 2 months. You know,
and then you found me.
And I found you. Well, I found you before though, didn't I?
Yeah.
Unannounced.
Our story was mad. So I basically was looking for a new housemate because my other one was crazy, and put it out. I wanted a female. I didn't want any men, and he wrote me this really lovely message. He's like, you know, I'm vegan, I'm into spiritualism, yoga, all this, and I was like, oh, okay, seems quite cool. And then I was like, oh, he said he's got a dog, so I was like, right, we need to take the dogs for a walk. So we met for a walk. I was like, oh, here's my number, like, let's go for a walk.
And you brought me a cacao, that was so nice.
Yeah. And his number was already in my phone, and I was like, this is so weird. And then basically, I had met you and Duncan as a puppy, and your ex 2 years prior in my coffee van in Monton, and we'd met and we'd been talking about like mushrooms and spirituality and and you'd given me some makeup artist numbers for a shoot that I was doing in Manchester.
Yeah, that's right,
and it was so mad how it brought us back together.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? Because I was in the studio, and then work was finally, because when did I get in? March. So my work normally picks up in March, so it was like March, February. So then, like, as the work started picking up, like the money was started coming in, and I was like, fuck. I was like, boom, straight on the apps. So I was looking, and then I was wanting to live in closer to town just for like the ease of it. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Like if I've got the opportunity, I'd rather live a bit more like rural. Which is, I mean, how far is this from town? I mean, how many miles is that? I mean, it's like 17 miles, isn't it?
Yeah.
About 17 miles.
Yeah, I mean, Rochdale, if you go to Rochdale train station, it's like 15-minute train.
Yeah, so my map, I remember like on my map every day it says about 17 to like 20 something. So I was like, that's a big distance. So of all that fucking radius, that's not just one way, that's like 20 miles everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that, and then obviously, you know, saw you, but then I don't think I recognised like the photo or anything. I don't know, maybe it's like an obscure photo or something. So then, yeah, I messaged you, and then you gave me your number, and then you like called me, but then I called you, and then it was like, Georgia, have I got a number? And I was like, I haven't got a fucking number. This is crazy. And I was like, right, okay, go back in messages then. If I know you, then what's you sent you? And I was like, no fucking way, no way. And then that's when I was like, we know each other.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
Like, what?
It was meant to be.
Like 20 miles.
Mad.
I don't know what that surface area. That's a lot of surface area because, like, you know what I mean. It's either side.
You found the needle in the haystack.
Yeah.
But yet you're still leaving me.
No. Well, like I'm at that point where I'm just like, there's another journey to be had, I feel. And that's why, like, obviously I got really upset when I told you, because I just didn't want to put you out, and like I felt really bad because I don't actually want to leave you.
Oh, I don't want you to leave. But where are you off to? What does the future hold now though? Because you've got some very exciting plans. So when you moved in, you met Gina quite soon after, didn't you? And then you guys have like built a beautiful story, but then she's gone traveling for 6 months. Yeah. And then your car broke for like 6 weeks. It was 2 months.
Oh, it was like two. Yeah, it was over 2 months. Yeah.
And then I wasn't surprised that you came in and went, do you know what, I'm starting off.
No, but I don't think that's even related. I don't think that's not related at all. It's because of the. It's just literally because like the next step. I was thinking, because I've only got like so much money, and then obviously with the car and everything that broke down, and then with the studio, and then because obviously like at the moment there's so many issues with the studio, so I've negotiated. Well, I'm trying to negotiate. This might have to get. But yeah, I'm not paying any rent on that currently because I'm just, you know, it's just not in the right place for me to pay any rent. There's like mold growing everywhere. And then so that left me this opportunity. I thought, you know, like when do I get another opportunity to go away for like 3 months? Because it's either that or try and find the money to like fuel this. Yeah. And I just thought it's got to be done. It's got to be done because I couldn't see any other way, and that's what I wanted.
I'm so excited for you.
But I don't like the idea of like, you know, making my life better at the expense of somebody else's. Do you know what I mean? Because I felt like because it's so close to Christmas. Yeah. And I got in my head because I was like, fuck, I'll have to do up like shit creek. You know, like you've got your own stuff going on, and then there's me just like, you know, pivoting. And you asked me about the Christmas meal, and I was like, yeah, why have you not invited anybody? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I went upstairs and I was like, I'm gonna have to tell her. And I was on the bed like, I'm gonna have to fucking tell her.
You got really upset, Presley. I'm so happy for you. Honestly, my friend sent me a voice note this morning though, and her literal words were, George, you're like a cat with 9 lives. You just get hit, you get back up again, you keep going. I'm like, yeah. I'll take that. Yeah. But it was, honestly, like it's...
But it's like, yeah, but you know, like how... But I was like, I've always preached, like, you know, sing your praise, man, because we're also resilient. And when you realise how resilient you are,
you can get through everything.
You can get through anything, man. You can get through anything.
And you've definitely helped me through this year, Jesus. Right.
No,
it's been like this, a roller coaster. Thank God I've had you living with me. Like, oh my God. No. But it's been amazing, and I'm so excited for your next journey.
Yeah, like I'm gonna miss it so much because, like, you know, with yourself, like, because I just love you to bits, man. And like the conversations that we had, because we are like so similar. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because no matter what angle we're coming at it from, like we're at the same point. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're looking at the same thing, and I appreciate that. So it doesn't matter about the language that we use. It's all about like us growing as people and trying to be the best person that we can.
And that's all we're trying to do, isn't it? And I think this is the start of It's just not. It's not a buy. It's a ta-ta for now. Start with beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you came back in my life.
Yeah, because I've never really like, because I have friends, I've got friends, but it's always like skin deep. Do you know what I mean? It's like we chat, how are you? But whenever we chat, it's like we get straight into like the nitty gritty. It's like, how's your day?
Oh yeah, don't do surface level.
Yeah, but it's like, how's your day? And you tell me how your day's been. Do you know what I mean? You actually tell me how you've been.
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of people, they forget.
Can't handle that.
But like people put that question though, it's so true. Oh my god, I shouldn't have asked him. No, but but it's funny that people say like, how are you? As if to say, but it's like another version of hello.
Yeah, like they don't actually care. They don't actually want to listen.
They're like, oh, how are you? Are you all right? And you're like, yeah, oh, I've had a bit of shit. I meant to say hello.
No, it has been amazing. But what
of the next step, sorry.
Yeah, like what are you like? What's your next? So you're going.
Yeah. So.
Traveling for 3 months.
Yeah. So I'm basically going to. I'm gonna go traveling for 3 months. I'm working on this AI stuff at the moment because it's just taking off so much, and I don't know, bore you again with all this AI stuff.
No, I'm excited for it.
But it's I want to set up like a business in and around that because the wave is coming, like the tsunami's coming, man, and I want to just kind of get ahead of it before I can. So having 3 months, because I don't work anyway through like December through January to February, March. So I might as well have a laptop next to a beach. Do you know what I mean?
So jealous. Jealous.
But my life's, I am really fortunate. Like I've always thought to myself like, oh fucking hell, Jay, like, what's your life doing? You don't have a house, you don't have a girlfriend. Like, yeah, your job's going all right and you earn good money, but like, what's it all fucking for?
Why so hard on yourself?
But like everybody does this, right? Yeah. So you're like, you have these questions, you think, well, something's wrong, but actually, I think as I was thinking about this the other day, actually, ChatGPT, I was talking to ChatGPT about it. Because I had this moment, how did it fucking click? How did it click? So I was driving and I was, it was so weird. So I was driving and I was thinking about like, what are the smallest things? Because I was thinking about like the atom. I'm so weird.
Right, okay.
So as you do.
Okay.
And I'm thinking like, what's smaller than that? And then, I was talking to ChatGPT and he was saying like quasar and all these, I don't know what the other ones were, but quasar was one. And then I thought, okay, well, they got quasar, atom, molecules, whatever, I don't know crap at these things. But as you get bigger, then you got like complex organisms, so you got like us, right? And then we always like stop here. You don't think anything bigger than us, right?
Yeah.
Because then you see the universe and you're like, right, okay. But if you think that it's so deep. But if you think that like an atom has its place in the bigger scheme of things, right, and a molecule has a bigger, atom makes a molecules, and they compound and they make something bigger, and then you get to us, but we can't see past ourselves, can we?
But the seeing past ourselves is the consciousness.
Yeah, it's like the universe thing. So I was having this thought, and I was like, well, what if we are part of something so much bigger that we don't even realize? What happens if we're the atom, don't realize that we're making up a person?
Oh no, I do think we are part of something bigger.
We've got to be.
Yeah.
We've got to be. So yeah, I was just thinking about that, and I was like, well, because in the back of that scenario, I was like, well, what's the bigger picture here? You know what I mean? Like, what's it all this going for? And because my life is like set up in a way that it is quite free. I can just I don't have a house. And it's unfortunate that obviously I'm just bouncing from yours, but it's like, but it is set up that way that I can kind of live this like quite free life. Like Gina, for example, she set up her life in that way. She got a house. She developed it to have like 3 bedrooms, and then she just rented the whole house out, and that one literally paid for her to travel indefinitely if she wanted to. You know what I mean? And that's like the bigger picture. So it's like sometimes it's difficult to see the bigger picture. You know what I mean? When you're on the ride. Do you know what I mean? You have to stop and get off.
Yeah.
I speak to my friend about this like last night about like perspective, because he's thinking, what do I want to do in Manchester, and then he was thinking of going back to Estonia, and because he came from there for I can't remember how many years is it, but he's always loved it. And then he's like debating this idea going back. But I was like, you need to go just so that you can see what Manchester's like from the outside, and then whether or not you're going to enjoy it. It's like that shift in perspective.
Definitely.
So I feel like it's really good to always just be shifting your perspective, because even if you go away,
you can always come back.
You can always come back.
Always come back.
And you might find that little joy in it again. Be like, oh, you know what? I actually do miss Manchester. I'll come back. Or you think, fuck, I hate it. I never come back. But I feel like you need to leave to realise.
Definitely.
Everybody wants like the world to be like the perfect place, right? That is like bliss. You know, there's nobody getting hurt, and you know, there's no bad in the world or anything like this. But unfortunately, like that with contrast, is that you wouldn't know what it's like to be so good. You know what I mean? You wouldn't know what it's like to be so happy unless you were so sad at one point in your life. You know, you wouldn't know like happiness without depression. So I think that's why like life like throw these things at you, because like life is just like contrast. It's like light, dark, up, down, you know, left, right, on, off. It's just like one can't exist without the other. You know what I mean? Me seeing you can't exist without like your background. You know, like without your environment. You know, it's all one and the same thing.
But we keep trying to push away the dark, and that's the thing. Like when we embrace it, that's when like
that's the freedom. Yeah,
when you actually come to terms with it all. And I think like that's been my biggest lesson this year of like fighting with my brain. It's been actually like flip it. Like I do see things differently and do things differently.
Yeah,
but look at it differently.
Yeah, because I think we spoke about it the other day, didn't we? That was like, you know, that we're all energy and like say frequency, but then everybody wants to pick the higher frequency, but even the highest frequency wouldn't exist because a frequency is it's like up and down. Even the highest frequency, the highest most beautiful pitch is going it's up and down, right? So even at that highest frequency, the peak of that doesn't know what it's like to be without is it peaks and troughs? I can't remember what it's called. So like even the wave has an up and down, it wouldn't exist without the other. So it just has to exist. You know what I mean? You have to know. You have to embrace it. That, you know, whenever you live in, you know, whenever like you're having that bad part in your life and you just think, fuck, like when is this going to be over? You know, when is this going to be over?
2024.
The whole year. yeah. That's been a shit year though, hasn't it? Been a tough year.
Do you know what though? Like I thought this, but actually reflected on it again. Contrast. I was like, actually, there's been some really tough parts, but actually been some beautiful parts as well. Like
you know what, you're right.
You came into my life, like beautiful people come into my life, and my beautiful house, and oh my god, some lessons that I won't make the same mistakes again. Like fuck's sake, like it's flipping it, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just being able to understand it, you know, that like that needs to happen. Do you know what I mean? Because you think like, why me? I don't want that to happen. But it's like, you know, when you realise that it has to happen to you. You know, a child like has to burn its hand on the stove for it to realise that stove is hot. Yeah. You know what I mean? It has to happen to you. And when you kind of accept that, you're like, okay, it's kind of liberating, because you know that, you know, when you're having that really shit point, you know that there's going to be like a really good point. And in a way, it's kind of sad, but when you know that it's going really well, that it's, you know, something bad is going to come. Not bad, but, you know, something not as good. And you just kind of like riding it like this. But I think I find that now living in the middle is a nice point. Rather than trying to be like really bipolar, like trying to live in the middle, that like, you know, it's like good and bad or not.
I would crave to live in the middle. I would crave just to be like, yeah, pretty sweet. Yeah, that's happened, but that's pretty sweet. Like I am.
You're on that ride like.
It's like literally sat there with my therapist. Like I literally get to the point where I get too happy, and then it sends me into a frenzy, and then I'm like,
that's mad.
oh my god, and then I just go spiral. Like it's the gauge isn't there at the minute.
But obviously, like you're different to me though. I'm talking from my experience, because I have no idea what that's like. I have no idea what's that like.
Like I'll put myself to bed. Like I'll be like, I'm emotionally worn out.
I mean, I'm glad that you put yourself to bed. Who else is going to put you to bed? You got a man in your cupboard. Good night, Georgia. Good night.
That's what I do. No, I honestly like, because like I get
I wake
myself.
myself up every day.
No, but like,
I know what you mean.
like
I know what you mean.
when I get so emotionally like stimulated,
Yeah.
then like I'm like I have to do all these things in a day, and I don't do any. I'll just go and put myself to bed because I get too overwhelmed, and I go, I can't.
Yeah.
Like I just shut down.
I've had that though.
It's horrible.
Yeah. I've had that when I'm like, I need to just end this day.
Yeah.
Like I need to go to sleep and hope that like I'm gonna wake up there. Yeah.
But it is about that balance, but.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you have, like, did you say you got ADHD or no?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
quite high on all three spectrums. We're learning to work with it.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out. But honestly, it's I think it's a thing, like just meeting different people in life like helps give you different, as you say, like it's all different perspectives and learning from each other. And I think that's the thing that we all forget is, as you said, like we look to these gurus and stuff and all this, when actually we're all learning from each other. No one knows everything. Like we're all learning and evolving and all fuck up at times as well. And it's embracing that. And I think my biggest thing this year has been about what is meant for you will not pass you by, and trusting that. Yeah. I've been in a point where, because like, you'll never really notice it if you're just so distracted with stuff, and maybe you weren't in the right place to even notice it. Maybe things have passed me by that were meant to be in another life, but I just wasn't ready to notice it. But when you become able, because it's so hard, right? Because when you're so engaged in like the stress and anxiety that you're just living in fight or flight like constantly, so that it's impossible for you to notice like anything that else is going on outside your perimeter. But then like once you start to step back, you start noticing all these like amazing things that's happening in life, and you start to see the signs, and you're like, oh, okay, there's like something going on over there. I'm just gonna follow that, and I'm gonna take that path. Like I love analogies. Like I love trying to picture situations in my life of like, because it helps me understand, because I'm a visual person. So I came to this conclusion maybe like, I think it was maybe like last month or something. And I envision life now as if I'm walking on a path, and either side of the path is just like mud, like a marshland or something like that. You can't step on it. So I'm on this path. But then maybe like 5 steps in front of me is the most densest fog like you've ever seen in your life. You can't see past it. You only can see like several foot. And the same is behind. Like as soon as you turn around, the fog is there, right? And you can't see it, so you can't go back. And all you can see is I've got to take like several steps forward. So like every day you just kind of take a few steps, and as you take a few steps, the fog starts to clear a little bit further. And then as you're walking and you walk in and you walk in, you start to see like another little path to go to the left, and you think, which one am I going to go down? And it's fucking scary because you don't know what's down there, right? But you think, right, I'm going to trust it because I've been down this other path. So you start to walk down that path, and then next thing you know, it unfolds into something completely different. Maybe it's a dead end and you can't go any further. That then you think, fuck, I'm going to have to go back to the other path and walk back up the next one. But I see life like that now, is that you just... I like that.
Yeah, it's like you can't see through the fog. You don't know where you're going, but you just got to have trust that you haven't walked off like into the marsh. I always say that, like, even if you feel that you're not moving forward, you are. You might just be shuffling, looking at your feet, but then when you turn around, you've actually come quite far, even when it might not feel like it. Yeah. Because we always think like that we've not come far, as if it's like a distance thing, but distance is different to like growth. I feel, because even if with distance, so because you can go distance. The thing is about distance that even though you've gone forwards and backwards, with every step that you take, you're growing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's about the growth, not so much like the distance. You know what I mean? Distance is not a good metric, because it's like, and that's what people go at with money and stuff like that, or these different metrics that they're trying to do. It's like distance, money. It's things that like grow. Do you know what I mean? That literally they're like false peaks. But really, it's what did you learn when you earned that money? What did you learn when you lost that money? I also feel growth is like one of them things of like, when a situation comes up that you might have been in before, but you notice your patterns or you choose differently,
that's when I go, oh, I have learned, I have grown.
Yeah.
It's I think everyone just needs to be kinder to themselves, really.
Yeah, my when I do meditation with Waking Up app for like Sam Harris, it's like really good. But he talks a lot about like.
I do like that app. I've been getting into it.
Have you listened to it? Oh, have you really?
Yeah, I've been getting into it.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really good. He talks about like a silver lining, you know, and I think that's really true. Is that, you know, you can't always pick the situation, but there's always a lesson to be learned. And I think there was a guy that I was watching on YouTube, and he said something like that. You know, nothing's a failure if every failure has a lesson.
I don't think there was anything else to say.
So every failure is just it's potential growth, isn't it? So it's like how is a failure a bad thing if you can grow from it? It's not really, is it?
So we could sit here talking all night, but we can't for now.
Yeah.
Part two coming from Bali. I'll bring my kit. Don't worry, I'm there. Okay, so I've got 2 more questions. What for 2025? What is A, your word for the year, and B, what is the top 3 things that you'd like to work on, strive towards, goals?
I think my word's gonna have to be growth. Yeah, growth definitely. And then top 3 things and what I'm excited for.
Top 3 like goals, like things you want to work towards or work on.
I want to be practicing meditation a lot more, so I can be just a bit more comfortable with my feelings, you know, because I don't think you'll ever really get too comfortable with them, but just being a bit more sensitive to them, and you know that'd be nice. And then my goals. I'd like to be in a position where my work pays for my freedom. Because I'm already in a good position where like work pays quite well and it gives me freedom, but it also means that I have to work. I have to like get up and physically like do something. So working from a laptop or doing something like autonomous would be amazing. Hence the AI. Number 3, I think connectivity. So I'd like to re-engage back with like, you know, build more solid friendships and bonds with people.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Because I've had my time enough to like focus on myself and work on myself. And because it's an isolating thing, I feel, is to work on yourself. And now I feel, you know, I want to rekindle some relationships and stuff and, you know, like work on new ones. Yeah. Love that. Yeah. That's beautiful.
So what would your 3 top tips be for people that are kind of in a similar situation? Maybe they're questioning their relationship with alcohol, maybe they're questioning the path they're going on. Like, what's your advice to people?
Just be kind to yourself. Because there's no right or wrong answer. You know, at the end of the day, you don't know if the decision that you're making right now is a good or a bad one until you've made it, and then you're looking back in hindsight. You know what I mean? You just don't know. So like, just be kind to yourself in the present moment. That you're making the best decision that you can, and just be kind to yourself, and trust in yourself as well. Because at the end of the day, you know, nobody knows you better than you. You know, if you're going to invest in anybody and you're going to invest in anything, like invest in yourself, you know, like only you know you better than anyone, and just trust in yourself, because no matter what, you know, other people will try and advise you on different things in your life. But at the end of the day, their insight is only coming from their life, from their insecurities, their wins, their losses. They don't understand you. So they'll, you know, say you want to go traveling, or you want to say you want to go freelance, and your mum and dad are like, oh God, don't go freelance, you know, because, you know, it's so scary out there, and your dad's worked for 20 years, and look at him, he's safe, you know what I mean? And they'll tell you what they know, do you know what I mean? And it's like, the worst thing that's going to happen is you die, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
It's the end of that.
I think that's a great note to end on. But no, thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure. And I love living with you.
I love living with you too. Yeah.
So excited for the next chapter.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
I can't wait to see you when I get back.